It's the Mike in the Night Show. Can't use music on YouTube due to get flagged for privacy, copyright policies. It's Mike in the Night. Oh yeah, it's Mike in the Night tonight. Very special Thanksgiving edition. I got some downtime. It's nice and house is nice and calmed down. Kids are winding down. Everyone's ready for bed. So I thought I'd share some time today of this beautiful Thanksgiving day. Today is Monday, October 10th, 2022. It's Canadian Thanksgiving, by the way. It is 7:10 p.m. local Pacific time. We are 25 weeks out. Welcome to episode 461 of Mike in the Night, Censored. I bid you good morning, good evening, and good night, wherever you be watching this transmission, whether you're watching us from your condo in the sky to your cabin in the woods, or just couch surfing, or maybe on a road trip, or relaxing on your lazy boy. People of the night, welcome to Mike in the Night. It's 3 a.m. and something is moving you. The voice of the Commonwealth, hashtag Mike in the Night. Exclusively streaming on Odyssey. If you ain't on Odyssey, you ain't nowhere. So if you want to catch Mike in the Night uncensored, the whole 9 yards, properly talking, openly talking, open callers, you're going to want to watch us on Odyssey. Let's get informed, involved, engage, and, let's keep it as PG as possible on this platform. And my mission is to try and get people to wake up from here and go over to there so we could basically... Yes, happy Canadian Thanksgiving. We got Henry, Stephen Sewell. We got All for Truth and Freedom. We got AV1611 in the house. Supreme Cannon. Very good personal friend of mine. Very, very good and personal friend of mine. And,
hiya, pal.
We're going to try and keep it to a point where we're not going to get ourselves kicked off of this platform. And we're going to do our best to try and, kind of talk things through and kind of connect the dots as best as possible. And I've been having a lot of people coming on, watching Mike in the Night on Odyssey that are, heavy-duty investors, heavy-duty financial analysts, heavy-duty big time. They're watching the show and they're like, wow, what a difference from YouTube to open source, open forum policy like Odyssey. What a difference of discussion. It's absolutely day and night. And as people try to massage us into not knowing what's happening and having to use code words, it becomes like when you don't have sugar for a long time, then you have sugar for one time in a long time, and you kind of get that shock. Well, that's the shock you get when you go over to like a platform like Odyssey. Anyways, let's do a quick channel plug, and we're going to head over to some headlines, and then we're going to get our first caller in, probably our only caller in tonight. But here it is right here. Guys, don't forget to check out Mike in the Night. If you want to catch our last episode, it's right here on Odyssey. What a good episode. Holy crap, we got some really good callers. We did have some audio issues with one of the callers that didn't know. They were trying to follow the show live and talk to me live, but it doesn't work like that. You have to turn the show off while you call, right? So there it is right there. What a good show. 460. If you haven't seen this, go watch this show. It's on Odyssey, and I'll even leave a link here for you guys of Mike in the Night, and you're gonna wanna watch this, guys. There it is. If you haven't been you're gonna wanna watch this on Odyssey, because this is where we're speaking freely and where we're getting the message out. In artbydano.com, artbydano.net, not your typical art. And kiwiradio.nz. Don't forget to check it out. If you want to find replays of Mike in the Night, you go to radio, you go to our shows, and then you'll find Mike in the Night right here. And you're going to find Mike in the Night episodes here that you could download. And don't forget to donate 99 cents for some episodes. Most of them are free, but if you don't mind paying for one or two of them just to help us out. And there's Art by Dano on there. And Boys from Brazil, that was our trailer yesterday on Saturday night show. That's our trailer, Boys from Brazil, if you guys want to check that out. We did Boiler Room the last time. There's a 24-hour, 7 days a week TV stream. If you guys want to check it out on mikeinthenight.com, just click on our shows, and then we have free movies here on mikeofthenight.com if you want to support it. It's really cool. All right. So what's going down? Well, there's lots going down, folks, and we're so limited on what we could say, how we could say blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And that's become a big issue in trying to convey the message or relay the message or try and portray the situation through different means of communication. D-Trent saying, Mike, you see crypto's taking a beating? Oh, big time. Big time. Everything's taking a beating right now. And let's get into that. If you guys have any links you want to share in the live chat, I don't mind opening them and checking them out if they're not non-video, if they're if they're friendly. Because remember, this is a YouTube stream. It's going to be re-uploaded to Odyssey, but people on Odyssey are going to watch, oh, there's a Mike in the Night 461. I missed that one. And they're going to go watch it, and they're like, why aren't they talking about anything important? Well, we're so limited, so let's kind of talk around things and figure out what's going on. So Canada is headed for a major issue right now in its financial housing sector. And this is something we've been talking about on the channel for the last 10 years. I've been warning people to get out of the cities for the last 10 years. The inflation is coming up. So let's just open that up so people, just don't think we're trying to bandwagon. And I had someone say I'm trying to steal someone's show by someone's got a show called Connecting the Dots, and I'm stealing that. And I'm like, no, we've been talking about this. So this is how you use the channel. I'm going to show you guys how to use the channel time machine. If you're on a desktop, I can't get it to work on my phone. But if you're not on the app, you type in inflation, and then you look right here, and you'll find inflation videos we made. And wages not keeping up with inflation, housing out of reach, a working poor society in the West 7 years ago. So this is something like trends in the housing market, rate hike coming 4 years ago. That's when they raised rates before the you-know-what. Emergency rate cut in Canada, say hello to inflation, say goodbye to savings 2 years ago. So, I mean, there's videos that will go back. Disappearing middle class in the West is falling. Rising interest rates, inflation will set in. And people were telling me, I got a message from someone, you should make some housing videos and talk about housing. Well, type in housing, and there we go. I mean, we probably got China's destroying American middle class via housing affordability. I mean, we got videos here, look, going back 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years now that we've been talking about. Look, Canadian housing, locals forced into homelessness, and it's just more and more going on. New Zealand housing. Yeah. And this is something that we've been talking about for a lot of years here. And Target 2, someone says targets are going down. Walmart sales down 24%. Yeah, we covered that like 4 Mike in the Nights ago, where Walmart's not reordering in or ordering in specific items because they feel that their consumers don't have the disposable income to buy it. I think it was 4 or 5 Mike in the Nights ago we talked about that specifically with the Walmarts. Okay, this week's top story. So this is, if you're living in Canada, Canada's heading for a recession. Financial crisis can't be ruled out. Oxford Econ. Now, we've been in a recession now for the last couple of years. We are going now into a depression. And this is something we talked about 7 years ago, depression versus recession. And we are now going into a depressionary territory because people are going to have their furniture parked outside of their house in the next couple of months if things don't find some way of correcting. Canadian real estate has never been less affordable. Price correction to fix it. Again, they're going to have to raise interest rates another 3-4% to fix this problem, so the bad debt will fall off. But mind you, we got BlackRock and Blackstone in Canada that's ready to jump in and buy up all the real estate they could get their hands on. Toronto real estate prices have dropped 200. So watch this if you're in America or Australia, where Australia is crashing too, but Toronto real estate prices have dropped $224,000 in just 6 months. $224,000 in 6 months. Don't make me get on the computer here and show you what you could buy for 224,000 Canadian in America. That's like 160 American. Don't make me show you what you could buy for 160 American. Because you're going to get off this transmission really pissed off if you live in Canada. Because 224,000 in 6 months, that's just getting started. But what you could buy in America for 160,000 American, if you really look for it, you could find it. Canadians' wealthiest households saw their net worth fall 200 large, 78 large was real estate. So there it is. So let's move on. There's the channel right there. Don't forget to check out the channel Time Machine if you don't mind. I would really appreciate you guys to check out some of the older videos we put up in the last 10 years. Look at this 5 years ago. Toronto housing falling $2,100 per day. Look at that. 5 years ago. That's when they raised interest rates. That's when they raised interest rates. You see? You see what I'm talking about? They already raised interest rates back in the day because they knew that this Frankenstein zombie was going nowhere. So, All for Truth and Freedom saying, waiting on my hole. Good day, Mike. So, somebody from Toombi Umbi, Australia. Oh, that's Bulls Nuts or Bulls, yeah, Bulls Nuts Oz. Oh, yeah. Very limited on what we could say here, so we're going to be careful. And this is it. They knew something was going to go down, and guess what? Guess what? They knew something was going to go down, and they had to you-know-what and the you-know-what. And if you haven't gotten it by now, get over to Odyssey. Now, I want to ask you guys this. I'm getting so many ads in Chinese. It's a Canadian company. It's not a Chinese company. It's a Canadian bank. And I keep finding ads in Chinese. It's overwhelming. Now, when I go to certain websites, eBay, what was the other one? eBay, I think it was Zero Hedge. The ones that have ads on them, like to help pay. I keep getting Chinese ads in Canada for Canadian items or products or real estate or banking, insurance, whatever. It's in Chinese. So you're seeing how the banks are starting to lean towards the people with the money or the people that brought over their money and using that because Canadians aren't producing or making or fabricating anything like they used to. And they really don't have any, a lot of us, I'm talking myself too, we don't have much of a future anymore. Like we can't really set out a future goals or anything because they're just not panning out. Nothing's panning out, right? So, but when you have a lot of money that you bring over, because Canada has no question asked policy with the Vancouver model, right? So let's type in the Vancouver model so you guys can see I'm not making this crap up. Yeah, Vancouver model right here. So this is a very important thing. Toronto housing on life support needs more money laundering. Toronto needs more money laundering. Vancouver model, home prices slip. So Vancouver model was basically bringing in money from China. No questions asked. China only, though. If you bring it in from Portugal or Spain, you are in a holding cell somewhere in a room. But if you bring it in from China, you're okay. And you can look at it. A lot of people looked into this stuff I've been talking about over the years, and they don't get back to me after they try to call me out on things. It's kind of weird. All right, so we got some Breitbart news here out of the United States. Arizona Democrat Kate Hobbs embroiled in another race controversy. Let me see if there's anything here worth mentioning. Oh, that's the movie we keep talking about on the channel. 20 movies that are so good, they're considered perfect. This one here, this is the movie we keep mentioning to you guys called Silence by Martin Scorsese. I think we played the trailer on Odyssey. What do we got here in Canada? Mississippi teenager dies after being shot by police officer outside discount store. What else we got here? California governor's wife among accusers at Weinstein trial. Yeah, that's back in the news. I'm just trying to see if there's anything. Canadians, like, there's nothing reporting on Canada here. Fury as New South Wales fined cyclists in Sydney CBD. Again, this is in Australia. And I want to bring this up because it ties into what we've been saying on the channel. They're going to fine you to death.
Hiya, pal.
It's okay, I'll use the service entrance. I'll see you at 9.
Woo!
This is me, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So I just wanted to put some soundboard in there so you guys could absorb this. I'm going to say this again. So the police are out, instead of going after criminals that are breaking into cars to steal spare change out of the cup holders and terrorizing people and beating the crap out of old elderly women, they are out there fining cyclists. They want to grab the cyclists because they're going to fine you to death. They will fine you to death. Okay, there it is. And what's happening in Toronto? Nothing. There's anything here in Toronto? I don't see anything here. Nobody cares. Oh, they're praising King Charles, of course. Nothing. And True North is reporting something interesting. Top Taiwan politician calls on public statement of support from Canada. Now, we talked about this many times on the channel, and I even put a poll up on our YouTube section. Will Canada, when China invades Taiwan, what side will Canada take? A lot of people chose the China side, because Canada is kind of like an autonomous region of China. It definitely is. They own our mines. They own pretty much everything. And then once they get their hands. Once they become majority shareholders in our electricity companies, well, they own most of our coal mines. But I'm saying once they become a majority shareholder in all our energy companies and stuff, you could kiss Canada goodbye, right? And so there it is right there. So I don't think Canada wants to play both sides of the fence because Canada's been working hard to get wealthy investors. Let me see if I could find that. Canada's been working very hard to get wealthy investors in from Taiwan to bring their money in, but also doesn't want to piss off China, you know? Let's see if I could find... Oh, here it is. I found it. So here it is. So this is from January 10th of this year, and I wanted to bring this up because it ties in to what I'm saying here. So here it is, guys. So there it is right there. Let's bring that up. So Taiwan, Canada start talks on investment agreement. So Canada is trying to bring over hundreds of billions of dollars from Taiwan and basically saber rattling with China to kind of take both sides. And Canada needs this because of its ailing housing market. Canada doesn't want the Europeans that came here to build this, right? They don't have a piece in it anymore. I'm a Portuguese, right? A lot of the Italians I talk to, a lot of the Greeks I talk to, they're like, Mike, I'm realizing that we're considered like the garbage of Canada. Like we're considered like we're not welcome here. I'm like, well, it started with the Portuguese back in 93, 94, and it started a big buildup of kicking out Europeans, right? They want the Europeans to build the infrastructure, but they don't want them to stay here. They don't kind of want them here in this country. Canada has a different vision, right? And that's why I checked on my Portuguese passports, my citizenship. I was checking on everything physically to make sure it's all okay in the fireproof safe, to make sure that when we have to go, then we'll yes, I do. Someone's asking if I have a 6-month supply. I did reorder thyroid blocker potassium iodine pills. I ordered, I don't know, like a year and a half supply for my whole family, and it expires in 2028. So, yeah, I got wood too. People in the things are talking about. Someone says we're gonna die in nuclear war. Okay. Euphrates River drying up, revealing tunnels, says Dylan Dooley at Twitter. Yeah, lots of new faces here, because we're severely shadow banned for, I don't know, the last 10 years. So there it is. Taiwan and Canada starts talks on investment in green. So Canada needs to get the wealthy people out of Taiwan to sell them more housing. And then what they need to do is still take the side of China too. So Canada needs to play both parts. As the European mass exodus happens from Canada. And, story time. I just want to throw something out there. Good friend of mine. Very, very, very good friend of mine. Been in and out of touch for a while now. Calls me up and says, Mike, I got deported from America. When? Last week. They actually came to my house, put me on a bus, sent me to the airport, and deported me from Texas. Oh, I thought you married a girl from Texas, an American. Yeah, we've been married for 2 years. But the citizenship, they want me to do my citizenship and wait in Canada 5-6 years. So, contacts me, talks to me about it, and I'm saying, look, you want to come on Mike in the Night? He's like, no, I don't want to ruin my chance to get into America, blah, blah, blah. So, here we are talking, and then articles are coming up that I'm looking through the news that people are getting free phones on the southern border. I'm going to bring it up because people watching this aren't going to believe what I'm telling them. So, I have to kind of show, let's go to the channel here. And because people are just not going to believe like I'm making this up, because it actually sounds like it's made up. That's the problem when you try to tell something to somebody. So let's go over here real quick. Right here. Biden's DHS gives cell phones to over 255,000 border crosses illegal aliens released into the U.S. So, oops, sorry, wrong one. There it is right there. So there it is right there. And this is not a joke. I back-checked it. I actually looked into it and looked into the different sources, and I tried to find sources from actual local Texas news media outlets and New Mexico news media outlets to find a California news media, and it is true. They are giving out cell phones and doing all that. Then I have a friend who's living in Texas for 2 years now, married to an American, he's married to his wife now for 2 years in America, and he's been there for 3 years. They won't give him citizenship. He got deported. A bus took him to the airport. He told me they took him to a further airport. Like there's an airport closer to where he was. You have to take him to an airport like 6 hours away to fly him back in a connecting flight from New York back to Canada because he's Canadian. And Canadians are not allowed in this because the majority... Here it is, folks. A majority of the people that will leave Canada will be of European descendants, like myself. I'm a Portuguese, right? Like, I don't know too many more people. I got Fat Tony, who's a friend of mine. He's Italian. I got a couple other friends in this town that are of European descendants. And everyone is on the same discussion piece that we want to get out of Canada. Like, we really want to get the hell out of here because there's really nothing here for us anymore. But the problem is America won't take us in. They don't want us. And if we're caught in there, they'll deport us. You see where I'm going here? So, okay. So people are stacking food. People are stacking wood. People are stacking iodine. People are good. Someone's saying, Mike, you said you had a 6-month supply. No. I have a 6-month supply, but it expired. I reordered more. I ordered a year and a half worth of iodine, potassium, and I got other different pills too, specific thyroid blockers too. So I'm always on the move when it comes to. I got to update myself every other day with you guys, just so you guys know. But no, I did reorder quite a bit actually because I am. I don't know what to say anymore. It's gotten to that point. Okay, so here it is. China, no longer a passive onlooker, plays a new role in African conflicts. So China is going to be doing what the French did, basically creating conflicts on both sides while China steals the minerals and creates bases. China has several hundred bases in Africa. China has pretty much taken over huge chunks of Portuguese Africa because the Portuguese actually built infrastructure and highways and stadiums and libraries and condos in those cities. So the Chinese are after Portuguese colonies. They've been after them since pretty much 1999, 2000. South Korea's economy heading towards a crisis. As Japan reopens, weak yen is both good and bad news for the travel sector. Months of virtual lessons cost Hong Kong children's time to play and months of virtual lessons cost Hong Kong children time to play and make friends. And InfoWars is reporting something very interesting here. A girl takes testosterone for 5 years, goes bald. And a 21-year-old girl who was put on hormone blockers and received testosterone treatments. Oh, we got buffering here. Not sure why, but... Oh, there we go. Too far gone, and having gone bald, she regrets doctors didn't do more to diagnose her gender confusion as mental illness. So this is going to be happening across the United States, across many countries. The woke cities are going to start feeling this. And just trying to find anything here in the news in Australia that's worth mentioning. And the reason why I bring this up is because back in the day, you would have a lot of you-know-whats on this page. You had a whole you-know-what section up here to click on. And then all the deaths by the hour, deaths by the city, deaths by this, deaths by that. And for some reason in Australia, it's completely disappeared. And Iran, Press TV, Iran summons UK envoy again over intervention in its internal affairs. Palestine Prime Minister, Israel's action in occupied territories, organized state terrorism. Top U.S. Senator proposes freeze on Saudi cooperation over Riyadh's oil policy. Palestinian churches alarmed at UK's possible embassy moves to Al-Quds. Palestine calls on UN to provide protection for children amid Israeli aggression has been going very strong, but it's not making the front pages or the second or the fourth. It's just basically falling on the back page. And what's RT? RT is reporting all kinds of stuff here. So we're gonna get our truth speaker here to talk about where'd it go? There it is, right there. Okay, Christ, why is it opening this? I don't care about this. Okay, so look at this. Look at the front page today of the Daily Mail here in the UK. Look at that front page. Look at that Mad Magazine drawing. Looks like a Mad Magazine drawing. Look at all the fear. Look at all this. So we're gonna get our resident speaker here on Mike in the Night. That's been on Mike in the Night, I don't know, since like 2017 to come on. We're gonna get our man Supremo Canyon on the show. Hopefully it turns... His Skype is off. Oh, it's on. Hi, Supreme.
How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, my friend. Yeah. Happy Columbus Day to our American viewers.
Yeah, happy Columbus Day. That's right. Okay,
yeah.
So any topics you want to touch on that we've covered in the big? Okay, let's go back to the beginning. Let's just go really quick here through some of these. Canada's in a lot of trouble, and Toronto real estate prices have dropped 224,000 in 6 months. And you could buy something really nice in the southern United States for 224,000 Canadian.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it's crazy.
So what does this mean for Canadians that bought in the last 3-4 years now?
Well, if they bought with variable mortgages, which I think the majority of them have, if these rates are still elevated when they come time for reset, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. But it seems what's happening, because I've been following Steve Saretsky in Vancouver, and what's happening is the people that want to buy are waiting for prices to come down more.
Well, right? because the Canadian proper is not going to save 30 years to put a down payment down.
No, they don't want to wait. But I mean, they'll wait a little longer. It's like, okay, well, if prices have come down 20% off the peak, well, that really only takes prices back to 2018, 2019, right? Yeah. So, because it basically went vertical, even during the Charlie 19 thing. So they're a lot of them are going to be on the sidelines, and the sellers, on the other hand, or potential sellers, are just not going to put their places on the market because they're going to wait for prices to come back. They're
not going to come back because unless people,
I don't see how they will either. Yeah.
Well, inflation's kicking in, and we're still not in double digit yet. Inflation, we are in double digit inflation, but they're not announcing we are.
Well, that's right. They're not going to, as much as possible. They're not going to. But the big problem that they have is, of course, with interest rates gone up this high, getting financing for any kind of new development suddenly doesn't sound so much fun either. So you're gonna have new housing supply, like new homes, new builds, stalled completely out once the current projects are completed, and the people that would be selling aren't going to sell now, and they're probably not going to until we get close to mortgage reset time, mortgage renewal time, and then they'll kind of get pushed off the ledge. And then they'll have to do something. But of course, if rates stay where they are, it's not just housing in Canada, right? Like it's the financial markets, it's commodities. Of course, lots of commodities. We're a raw materials supermarket for the world. There's all kinds of things. If we get into a recessionary situation, yeah, you're going to have a lot of homes suddenly come on the market at basically distressed prices.
Yes.
I mean, it's not going to happen tomorrow, but I mean, it's baked in the cake now. I think the reason that they're spiking interest rate, all the central banks are spiking rates. I think they've decided, okay, well, we're going to take a chance. The most over-leveraged people are going to get thrown under the bus because that's what happens every time. It is what it is.
Okay.
Right, but they've got to try to stop they got to get consumer prices under control. So I think that's why they're going so steep.
Now let's jump into this. Now
it'll be a short-lived thing.
Let me tie this into another one. It fits perfectly. We went through I just went really quickly in the channel time machine here, and from 5 years ago, here's the video, here's the headline. This is what I spoke about 5 years ago. Canadian brain drain is real. Mass exodus of young families seek affordability in the United States. Now let's look at what's happening today. Holy crap.
Yeah, well, yeah, wouldn't you love to be somewhere where it was affordable like that?
Unfortunately, I told you, I don't know if you heard my story time, a friend of mine in Texas that's been living there for 3 years got deported. So,
I heard you mention that, yeah.
Yeah, and his wife he's been married to his wife who's an American for 2 years now. So.
You'd think that would do it.
But no, he has to stay in Canada to do his paperwork. It take up to 5 years. So everybody in the comments were saying, fly down to Mexico, leave your paperwork alone, and walk across.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, come across the southern border.
And he gets a free cell phone.
That's right, yeah, free cell phone. Probably a bus ride to Maryland.
Okay, now, I got a question for you, and I asked this earlier. Are you getting Chinese ads? I'm getting TD, RBC. I'm getting, like, when I go to eBay, even Zero Hedge, I go to different places. All the ads I'm getting are in Chinese. My settings are set to English. I don't have anything with translate on it. Are you getting that here?
No, I'm not getting anything like that.
Oh, I'm getting it all the time now.
Is that right?
Yeah, I got one open here from TD. I every time I go somewhere, even when I'm on, like, you know, when you go on these websites like this and they have ads on the side?
Okay, yes.
90% of my ads are in Chinese.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, and because, well, it's a big market here. It's going to be a majority of the market in Canada in the next 5 years. So I guess the banks, the insurance companies, and everything they're ramping up, right?
Right. Well, I mean, that could change too, though. Right, because of course there's an enormous real estate meltdown going on in China right now. So I mean, they might not. A lot of people might not have the money suddenly to come over here. Or the opposite. All the people that have bought properties in North America might have to start dumping them to raise cash for at home.
Yeah, that might also be a possibility.
Problem. Yeah, that would be a neutron bomb in our entire financial system here for sure. If something like that happened, because a lot of that stuff, yeah, that's going to be distress sale prices.
Right.
So,
okay,
we're watching that one for a couple of years.
Okay, fining us to death. And we've been talking about fining us to death on this channel. They're going to fine us to death and tax us to death. Well, here it is. This is from a few minutes ago. This is actually released 11 minutes ago. Fury as New South Wales fine cyclists in Sydney CBD. So they're, instead of going after people breaking into cars, stealing change from cup holders, terrorizing people, beating the crap out of people, just trashing things, vandalizing, they're going after cyclists. riding with their kids in the back here on the back of the bike. I mean, what the hell is going on?
Oh, they're broke.
That's
Need more
right.
money. Yeah, it's got nothing to do with law and order. Like you said, there's lots of criminals, and I mean, they catch them, they apprehend them, they go through the system, they go to jail, and then they just let them out again.
Mm-hmm.
So probably partly because the state doesn't want to bear the cost of keeping them in prison. So they just let them out. They find a reason to let them out, and then theoretically it saves them some time. I mean, if it offloads the cost onto insurance companies after somebody's car gets broken into, well, technically that's not a state problem.
That's right.
So that would be my guess anyway. Yeah, they're just going out harvesting money.
Mm-hmm. So here it is. I'm finding stuff we're talking about for years now. Cities going broke. They're going to fine us to death, and it's something that we've been talking about. Wow, look at this energy set to skyrocket 2 years ago. I love going through the channel Time Machine, Supreme, and see what we've been talking about all these years. And it's kind of interesting, some of the stuff we talked about.
No doubt, yeah. Well, some subjects obviously come up a lot. Housing has been one of them, of course. But I mean, real estate is a cult in Canada. I mean, it's...
Well, never mind that. Talk about brain drain. Watch this. Brain drain. Talk about brain drain. So many. Vancouver, Sydney, Australia, brain drain. 7 years ago. Young exodus of young families leaving, brain drain 5 years ago. Massive brain drain, mass exodus of families leaving. Canada's finished. Hong Kong boasts of pricing ordinary Canadians out of their own housing market 5 years ago. Middle class mass exodus from all major cities. London brain drain across the UK. Yeah. Oh
well, it's been ongoing. It's a slow motion, waterfall, dominoes crashing, whatever image comes to mind.
But the funny part.
But yeah, it's a slow motion collapse.
But no, you go to those videos, like some of the videos I posted 5 years ago, if you actually read what the people commented on it. And they're like, "You're dumb, Mike. You're dumb. Who the hell's going to leave Canada and go to America?" You should read some of the comments on 5, 6, 7-year-old videos. You're going to laugh your pants off.
Yeah, I don't really understand the chauvinism about Canada anymore. I don't get it. Maybe 20 years ago, but certainly not now.
Well, let's talk about, now that you mentioned Canada. Canada's in a really tight situation because Canada is working hard to get the wealthy Taiwanese in. Taiwan, Canada to start talks on investment agreement. This goes back to January of this year, because Canada wants the wealthy Taiwanese to bring in their money. It says here in the article. And Taiwan and Canada have agreed to talks, investment protection agreements. Both governments said, blah, blah, blah. Chinese claimed island efforts. So Trudeau is working with Taiwan to bring over their businesses to Canada. But yet, top Taiwan politician calls on public sentiment of support from Canada. Canada's in a really precarious situation because they want the Taiwanese to bring their money to help our ailing housing market, but they don't want to piss off China because China owns most of our everything.
China owns a big chunk of things here, yeah, no doubt about it.
So how does Canada...
Well, I think the way Canada will play it is simply that there is a one China policy. It's unspoken, but it is observed by everyone, including the United States. They'll probably never formally recognize Taiwanese independence for that reason, because then America would definitely have to intervene. That would be a red flag to a bull to the Chinese. They would probably immediately start mobilizing to go take the place. They're not having, right? So I think in a case like that, it's probably not going to be that serious because Taiwan basically belongs to China already. They already do so much trade. Taiwan without trading with the mainland is unthinkable.
But when I was in Taiwan, I've been to Taiwan 2 times, and both times I went, they have a very negative Chinese sentiment, the people of Taiwan. I'm not talking about the administration. The people of Taiwan very dislike the Chinese a lot.
Yeah, they don't want Xi Jinping ruling over them, no, but... there's so many ties between them, historically, obviously, but it's just going to be one of those things where Taiwan is de facto a province of China, regardless. That's how it's going to end up. I don't think it will require invasion to do that.
Right.
And then I would think if America got to the point where they actually recognized Taiwanese independence, it would be because America was sufficiently desperate that they needed some kind of major event to divert public attention.
Now,
which is what wars are for. It's to
but let's go back to
make
Canada.
money for them.
Canada's in a really precarious situation. Canada needs the Taiwanese investors to come in here.
Yes. Yeah.
But Canada also doesn't want to piss off China. So I actually put a poll up. It's way back. I got to find the poll. That what side would Canada take if China goes to when China invades? I think you even commented on this, Supreet. I think you actually commented on this before too. But this was a while back. I put up a poll.
I remember the poll now. Yeah. No, I think in a case like that, Canada is going to side with the United States because we won't have a choice. Because there are,
even though we have Chinese police stations now propping up in Canada, there's rumor they're going to open 16 Chinese police stations now in British Columbia.
Yeah, that would be bizarre, wouldn't it? I think it's going to be, if they do that, it's to monitor their own citizens.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be for us, which doesn't soften the blow that something like this is happening anyway. I would assume it's happening on an unofficial basis. Mm-hmm. Or Ottawa is pretending to look the other way or something like that. No doubt there's a lot of palms being greased during this money laundering, as you've said many times.
Here it is. China operating extra judicial police stations across Canada. And I'm trying to see if I could find... Here's the iodine potassium. Poland to hand out radiation tablets in schools. I'm just trying to see if I could find that poll that I put up for you guys. Look at my video get squashed on YouTube. Look, everyone's watching the video, and then boom, they cut it right off. Let me see here if I could find that poll I put up for you guys. But it's really, really... okay, here we go. If China invades Taiwan and the U.S. steps in to protect Taiwan, which side will the Canadian government take? I personally think the Canadian administration will side with China, but conservative Canadian families will choose America. I think as a family or a family unit in the private sector, I believe that we should obviously be on the side of America. That's me. But the Canadian administration is a different story. So look what the votes come out. Look at this. 42% says China, 58% America. That's the sentiment. Look at that. Can you believe that?
Yeah. Oh, I think regardless of Chinese, however deep the tentacles have penetrated into Canada, if America and China wind up in where it goes beyond saber rattling to actual kinetic activity, then no, Canada will be Team America all the way. I mean, America isn't going to tolerate a neutral Canada in a situation like that precisely because of
that's what everyone was saying in the comments. If you read it, they were saying the same thing. Well, Canada's just going to remain neutral. Canada's going to remain neutral. Canada's not going to remain neutral. Nothing.
Yeah. The reason that Sweden and Switzerland were able to remain neutral for so long, Mike, is because they're heavily armed. We're not.
Mm-hmm.
The American military could seize all of our key cities in, I don't know, a week.
Deadhouse is reporting in the comments they have these police stations.
We're going with America. That's just how it's going to be.
Deadhouse in the comments is saying...
Sorry, go ahead.
Deadhouse is saying they have those police stations in the States also, Chinese CPP police stations.
Oh, they probably do. They probably call them "quote unquote" consulates or something like that. Yeah, but it's mostly to monitor their own citizens over here, I suspect. Oh. They wouldn't have any jurisdiction over you and me.
Okay, so I was gonna make a video in like taking the side of a Chinese immigrant that comes to Canada, becomes Canadian, becomes part of the Canadian way of life, terminates his Chinese citizenship, says, screw you, China, I want to be a Canadian, and I want to raise my Canadians, and this is what I want from my family. What happens to the people that terminate their Chinese citizenship and said, I'm done with China? Are they still under that scope of China saying, we don't recognize you being Canadian? I was going to make an independent video of that in favor of protection or protecting the Chinese citizen that wants to be part of this society and culture.
Yes. Well, I would think if you have extrajudicial consulates or police monitoring whatever we're going to call it. Obviously, it's going to be centered more in Chinese communities in Canada. So if we know about these things, then you could be reasonably sure that the actual Canadian citizen Chinese neighborhoods know all about it too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably, I mean, it's not going to be a matter of them going and rounding up a Chinese national and taking them out of Canada. I don't think it would happen that easily. Yes, our government is a pushover, but these particular communities, they're not. I don't think they tolerate that at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably more intimidation more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
This is still Canadian soil, and the Chinese government doesn't have any legal. They have no legal status here at all.
Mm. Do you think they well, no, they're just gonna, for me, this is how I see it, they're just gonna the Chinese will renegotiate the rules as they go along and threaten Canada whenever they don't get what they want, period. So it doesn't matter if it's Canadian.
They could threaten us, but we're still America's neighbor. So we could say, well, if you bully us too hard, the Americans are going to intervene, whether we ask them to or not. Just simply because of the Monroe Doctrine. Like, America, as far as they're concerned, the Western Hemisphere is their turf. They're not going to tolerate another a foreign power establishing that kind of footprint here.
Right.
They're not having it. So, and I think that China knows that too. So, yeah, they're going to spread their tendrils wherever they can, Mike. But I don't think it's going to come down to the point where one day they're just going to stage a coup d'etat, or suddenly start rounding up thousands of Chinese Canadians to arrest them or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, because I'm afraid of the Chinese that came to Canada to just be with us, to be part of to buy a bunch of houses and leave them empty and then to go off Canadian somewhere else. I'm talking about the people that actually came here to make a life for themselves and to, you know what I mean? There's a lot of Chinese families that I've met that have basically surrendered their Chinese citizenship and became Canadian, right? And I think that's what China's in fear of, I think, of. You know what I'm saying? Because then they can't have that grip over them or that connection to the Chinese, higher levels of government. So, if they want to recall them back to their country. We made a video like 5 years ago on the channel where Chinese are deporting Chinese citizens from Canada back to China. We have a story from 5 years ago we covered about that. So,
well, Chinese nationals that aren't Canadian citizens, yeah, they could. I mean, they probably will just snatch them and take them home. I mean, they would probably do that, and Ottawa probably wouldn't interfere unless some actual naturalized Canadian, Chinese origin citizens intervened.
That's what I was worried about. I'm worried about the people that have become, like when Toronto or Ontario, whatever, was deporting Portuguese people. They actually went back to parents and grandparents born in Portugal, but the kid was born in Canada. They would actually deport them if they were still born in Canada.
Yeah,
that's
it's a bizarre
crazy.
Situation.
I told that to somebody a few months back. They're like, Mike, that's BS. So they found a paper from York University. It actually stated, yes, even if you're a naturalized, born in Canada Canadian from a Portuguese family, born in Canada, they can still deport you back to Portugal.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I have no idea why that happened. Somebody does. We'll eventually hear from that person, I'm sure, because the subject comes up a lot. And, especially when we're talking about, having dual citizenship. Like in your case, right?
I'm not going to surrender my Portuguese citizenship. If they tell me,
I wouldn't. No.
If they tell me you're going to have to take one, I would just keep my thing, and then they'll probably just find a way to deport me and say, "Well, you're not Canadian, you can't be here. You got to get out." And I'll just sell my stuff at fair market value and just move on with my life. I don't, I can't. I'm starting to see that this is becoming a big waste of time for me, being here, and I don't know how you feel about it, Supreme, but that's just the way I'm feeling, that I'm just wasting my time here in Canada. Like, it's a big waste, and I don't want to waste my kids' time because they could have a potentially really good life. We don't have to have a lot, but we just want to be happy.
Well, the thing is, it's not the land of opportunity that it once was. A lot of the growth potential, and this is a generational thing, not just a policy thing, but a lot of the growth, since World War II is topped out. it really can't go. It really can't go much higher.
Even though we're
anywhere
importing
anymore.
400, 500,000 people in per year?
Yeah, that's insanity. That makes no sense at all. I mean, if they're trying to drive down wages, well, that just exacerbates the problem. You know, they're basically at a certain point in time, there is no middle class.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's just, I mean, there still is one hanging on by their fingernails, but it's not, you know, there's no future in that.
Mm-hmm.
When you got a whole generation of your civilization that is priced out of participation in the property ladder, and they don't make enough money.
Who cares about property? We're past property now. It's food and electricity now.
Well, that's right. That's exactly right. That's why interest rates are spiking, because the food and electricity are starting to get out of control. When all of this money that they were pumping in for so long with the zero rate policy was going into assets, it was going into, you know, the stock market or your RSPs, if it was going into your real estate, you know, that was great. Everybody felt wealthier. You're richer than you think. Remember that old Scotiabank commercial?
Mm-hmm.
That's what that was all about.
What about ANG?
Didn't know this, but you can.
Remember
AIG?
ANG? Save your money, or what was that?
Oh, yeah. ING.
ING Direct. What was it? Save your money.
Save your money. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they were paying 4% when everybody else was paying 2.5%.
This is me, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, and then they just changed. Yeah, well, then they changed it orange. I think they just called it orange, didn't they?
Yeah, the orange accounts, and then they started to
Orange
dwindle,
accounts,
and they couldn't give. Then they started boasting, "Oh, we're giving 2.5 and then 1," and then now they're down to like 0.25% or less than that.
Yeah, it's nonsense. It's just absolute nonsense. Your local credit union, you know, you've got term deposits that'll pay you 4% now. You know, you have to lock your money up for 2-3 years to do it. But yeah, I mean, right now at this moment, yeah.
Well, it's not even hedging against inflation.
Well, no, the thing is they'll meet in the middle eventually, because I don't think interest rates will have to go to like 10%, because we are so over leveraged throughout the entire economy that where interest rates are right now is disastrous. It's an explosion waiting to happen. I think what they're trying to do is be aggressive to get consumer inflation under control, right? Without crashing the housing market. I think interest rates will go down just as fast as they went up. They got to get some altitude, because if things do blow up eventually, then they've got to be able to lower rates. You can't do that when they're at zero already. So this was inevitable, but I think their plan is a rapid spike, basically to scare people into deleveraging on their own. Mm-hmm. Right? Obviously, the ones who are way in over their head are in over their head. They're going to go under the bus. They're going to sink. It is what it is. Some of them are going to be sacrificed.
Merry
That's just
Christmas.
how it is. That's how it is every time. But I think once things really start to lock up, then yeah, rates will drop right back down again. That's my theory. If I was there sitting in their chair looking at this mess, I couldn't think of a better idea.
Okay, let me tell you when rates are going to come back down.
Okay.
When the average earner, we're talking about average earners, so we're talking 58,000 to 90,000 a year household income. Housing is 3.5 to 4 times their annual average earner income. That's when rates will come back down. So when the average earner is buying a home for $360,000 instead of paying 1.7 or 2 million for it, that's when you start to see rates come back to normal. That's what I believe. You have to look at the housing ratio, the housing to price ratio. 4.5 times the average earner annual home family income. I could see that happening, because if you can't get middle class families that live in these cities and they can't get into any of these markets, you don't have an economy anymore.
Well, that's right. You're, like I said, you know, if the youth are locked out, your civilization is dead. It's weekend at Bernie's.
Can you tell me the story again, Supreme? Can you tell me this story again, Supreme? Back in 2017 and 2018, they were blaming the millennials on the housing crisis.
Well, they blame millennials for everything. Every industry that's dying, they blame on the millennials. It's like, well, you know, no, they don't really play a lot of tennis. No, they're not buying a lot of BMWs. Hello, they're poor. They're living at home.
They don't have a pot to piss in.
Yeah, it's just trading on the generational divide, right? Because everybody blames the boomers. I mean, but the bottom line is, I mean, they started out with a clean slate, And and they were a huge cohort of the population, and they and everything has just kind of revolved around them. And of course, you have interest rates that spiked to 16%, and then over the next by 1980, and then over the next 40 years, they declined to basically zero.
And gold spiked up to $1,100 an ounce back in 80-81, and then it dropped back down to $300 an ounce after the interest rates got sorted, right?
That's right. The interest rates, basically the idea was we need to kill the inflation. Well, that took the gleam off of gold, and then people abandoned that. And
I read that. Do you know where I read that? Playboy January issue 1980 with Steve Martin in the front.
Mm-hmm.
I actually read Playboy to read the articles.
Yeah,
let's see if I'm right.
Writers.
Let's see if I'm right. Playboy.
I mean, the pretty girl on the cover. Yeah, that definitely made a lot of them fly off the shelves. But yeah, they had top-notch writers back in the day too.
Yeah, I used to.
They were going for the whole package back then. It wasn't just smut, right?
January 1980. Let's see if Steve Martin's in the front. If I'm right. Yes, Steve Martin. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Images. So there's January's Playboy. This January Playboy edition here. Let me just go to. There it is right there, folks. If you haven't, there it is right there. January Playboy edition with Steve Martin interview. This is up against the 80s. This is a really, really good edition of Playboy magazine because it actually explains to you whole gold. And if you read February's and March's economic, you actually see the outlook of it. You actually see the positioning of where things are at just by reading the news in a Playboy mag. That actually was really good. It explained it to a T.
Yeah, they covered everything. They really did cover everything. I mean, the pretty girls got you to buy the thing, right?
Yeah.
But they educated you. They made you think too. The whole idea is, Playboy is a lifestyle, right? It was a lifestyle magazine. So, for the thinking man, the sophisticated man, that was the shtick, right? That's what they were going for. So yeah, they had top-notch writers and some interesting interviews too, back in those days of print media, so very long ago. But like interest rates, I mean, from that point on, they went downs, which meant that asset prices were going to go up because the money was getting progressively cheaper. So yeah, but the boomers were a one and done.
Right.
I mean, it's after them, le deluge, man. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to reset to, I don't know what the number is. Pull it out of the air. I think we're going to see everything reset to back to about 1990.
I'm going for 93.
Yeah, I'd settle for 93.
I was looking at the charts.
Just because interest rates are going to have to be at that level. Now, the reason I think they're going to spike real high, real fast, and then come back down again is because they don't actually want to collapse everything, right? And that would absolutely do it.
Peter O'Brien in the comments. Peter O'Brien saying, my son got himself a Turkish passport. Good for him, Peter O'Brien. Just trying to get something to get yourself out of this. Let's go back. Let's do a quick channel plug, okay, Supreme? Guys, don't forget to check out, if you want to watch actual Mike in the Night uncensored, don't forget to check us out on Odyssey. You have to go to Odyssey. Go over here. This is like, Odyssey is what YouTube used to be when YouTube came out. It's 100% open. We got great callers. There's the last episode of Mike in the Night, 460s, banks going under. If you haven't seen this episode of Mike in the Night, we got a first few appearances on there of callers. We got the Pensacola Kid. And don't forget to check it out. There it is. That's the Mike in the Night from this Saturday's Mike in the Night 460. Artbydano.com, artbydano.net. Not your typical art. Don't forget to check them out. KiwiRadio.nz. If you go to MikeInTheNight.com, click on radio and click our shows right here, and you'll go to Mike in the Night here, and you could download episodes so you don't want to destroy your bandwidth or watch the show physically. You could actually listen to it for free. You could download the MP3 here, and you could donate to the MikeInTheNight.com. And our trailer that we played the week, so every week, so when you're on Mike in the Night on Odyssey, we actually play a trailer every week of a movie that may have inspired you or wake you up or whatever. So every week we play a trailer. We can't do it here on YouTube because we're going to get flagged. So there's the week before we did Boiler Room, and it's up here in the full movie. And then we did The Boys from Brazil, 1978. We play these trailers every week of a movie that we feel. And there it is right there on MikeInTheNight.com. 24-hour 24/7 TV stream is right here. If you guys want to watch a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week live TV stream of non-woke movies. We did all kinds of movies, movie trailers, right, Supreme? In the last couple of months alone. We did, what was it? What was that other one we did? Soylent Green. We did They Live with Roddy Piper.
Yes, Roddy Piper, yeah.
Such good movies, such good inspirational movies to make you think, you know. We did 1984, trailer on that. We did The Wanderers, trailer on that.
We do The Matrix.
Well, we could do The Matrix. Why not? I haven't done it. I was never a Matrixista myself, but...
No, I never was either. It's just such a... It's such a meme nowadays, right? The Matrix. You know, and the red pill and the blue pill and all of that stuff, right? In some ways, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of in the same vein as They Live. You're living in this parallel universe, and you don't realize what reality actually is because you can't see it. You know, you are literally living in a prison for your mind. That's the idea of mass media, and that's why they don't like shows like this and this kind of alternative media, because it breaks people out of it. It makes them think, oh, okay, that's all right. So, yeah. You mean CBC doesn't tell the truth all the time?
Like 98% of the time, it's garbage.
Shocked, I say.
Absolute garbage. Okay, guys, let's go to this story here. I want to, because Supreme really understands this whole war woke crap. I call it war woke crap. And this war they're pushing. So here it is, guys. This is what the front page of the Daily Mail looks like if you're in England. Putin's losing his people. Desperate Putin's double trouble. UK intelligence chief says Russian despot, I guess, is losing support at home, and his exhausted troops are running out of supplies as defiant Zelensky taunts Kremlin that missile barrage that killed 11 will not break Ukraine. So what the hell is going on?
Oh, the Mail is, like we were talking about before the show, all the British legacy media is Team Ukraine.
Is Russia actually losing this war? I can't see Russia losing this war, period.
They're not remotely losing this war. You did see some counteroffensives, and you did see Ukraine gain some ground or regain some ground. But the losses that they took to gain it were absolutely ghastly. They're on their fourth or fifth wave of mobilization. Like, they're literally rounding up people in universities in handcuffs and taking them to training camps. No, Ukraine is finished. This thing should have been over a long time ago. The reason it's not over is because when it was less than a month into it, and there were peace talks in Turkey, and Boris Johnson told Zelensky, no, you're not negotiating.
Can I throw a kind of bizarre interjection here?
Sure.
Could Putin be playing the war of attrition in a way? Hopefully, guys. So big channels watching this. You might want to take this and run with it because something just popped in my head. Okay. Could Putin be playing the war of attrition to try to force or push America into bankruptcy, into lending more money to the Ukraine that it can't afford to lend in the first place, and putting more and more Americans' futures, taxpayers, and grandkids on the hook for this? Could it be that Putin is seeing that America's just given up so much of its wealth, or I guess inflated wealth, or that they're playing this war of attrition to push America to the brink? You know, just like the Cold War ended because Russia couldn't keep up with the American spending.
That's right.
Do you think this could be a flip of the script where Putin is trying to push America towards the brink of bankruptcy through this proxy war? Is it possible?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think he was in a hurry to take the place. It's not a war. He called it a special military operation, which, I mean, there are certain legalistic terms involved there that I don't claim to understand completely. But if you look at most of what they've been doing, they're outnumbered 3-1. They only have about 200,000 total personnel in theater. I mean, they just finally got around to mobilizing 300,000 more, which are going through refresher training. Nobody's in a hurry. They're not worried about it. basically, the way I see it, during the First World War, just a really short history lesson.
Cool.
In the year 1916, okay, there was a salient that was held by the French. Remember that it was a line, it was a deadlock, right?
That's
There were
correct.
Trenches yeah, okay. So the commander von Falkenhayn had an idea. There was a salient that the French held. It was a very important town to them called Verdun. And their idea was, it's going to be a national catastrophe for France if we take this town. So we're going to send a whole army, the Fifth Army, and we're going to ring the salient with guns, and we're going to take a couple of fortresses, and basically we're going to force the French to send all of their men into this fire sack that we've surrounded with guns. And they're just going to send their men in, and we're just going to, because they can't afford to lose this place. So we've got them by the short curlies, so to speak. And they would just send them in there, and they would just chew up French units until they bled the French army white, and then they would be able to break them. Well, the French came up with a counter strategy, and they basically, at the battle lasted about 6-7 months. Losses were approximately equal, so they gave up on that idea. But all the Russians really have to do is just have enough men to guard their artillery. The Ukrainians have to come to them.
Right.
Right? So what happens is they come.
Nobody beats Russia in the winter.
They don't beat Russia in the winter, and Russian artillery is plentiful, and it's very, very good.
Kaiser tried, Hitler tried. Like,
yes, they did.
Many have tried.
Yeah.
You can't beat Russia in the winter, period.
Oh yeah, and winter's coming. I mean, the war started in the winter too. That was the other thing. They said, "Oh well, you've got guys like this saying as soon as the winter comes, the Russian army's going to break." Like it's just the stupidest frickin' things you can imagine that they're saying. Like, it's unbelievable the things they're saying. This is ridiculous. It's incredibly irresponsible. Yeah, and Ukrainian. This is the thing. I'm not Team Russia here. Regular Ukrainian people are suffering horribly.
Mm-hmm.
and dying by the bushel for nothing.
A lot of them that are arriving.
Not,
I was going to just say real quick. A lot of them that are arriving here in Canada are actually going back now. They're actually like having a tough time going back to the Ukraine because once they saw how much a 1-bedroom in Canada costs to rent and a family of 6.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to go back or take our chances in the Ukraine. I just can't afford. And then they're looking at what the average salary is for them.
Yes.
They're like, I can't even buy food. So they're going to, I spoke to a gentleman that called me at my store, and he told me that he came from Ukraine like 7-8 weeks ago, whatever. And he's going back to the Ukraine, and he's going to he's going to go to western part of Ukraine where he has an aunt and take his chances in the west there, because western Ukraine, not eastern. So he's going to just sleep on his aunt's floor until he can get things sorted, because he's not going to pay $2,300 for a 1-bedroom apartment in Vancouver. So with the 6 kids.
Well, that's right. If he's got 6 kids, well then, he should probably be in northern Alberta somewhere.
Well, not even that. Not even that, because they were put there in the Lower Mainland when they arrived. Mm-hmm. Then they were put into a shelter, and then they were said, go out and go find a job and try and get yourself sorted.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, I can't even do this.
Problem. I mean, they really should be in northern Alberta, because there's a lot of Ukrainians on the prairies. That's where they should be going. That they would get help there. They're not going to get it in Vancouver. That's ridiculous.
But the vacancy rate in Vancouver is so high. Like the amount of empty apartments and empty. I think what the governments are looking at, let's send them to Ukraine. They might start filling in those gaps there of local Canadians that can't afford to live in those apartments, that leave them empty. I have 2 friends that have apartments in Vancouver or Burnaby. They can't rent them out because no one could afford the rent.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing's topped out. You've reached a point where, we'll just keep raising the rent, and the property values will keep going up, and we'll just win and win some more. But it always tops out sooner or later, and you've got stuff that they're going to have to lower their rents to fill those apartments. They don't want to do that. They're just going to wait. Oh, well, we'll wait, and then it'll come back. Except it's probably not going to come back this time.
Yeah.
So, it's a mess. But where Ukraine is concerned, no, the Russians are absolutely winning. Like they don't. I mean, most of Ukraine's original army has been destroyed months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they keep getting the stream of iron, and there's definitely, if not NATO troops, then definitely foreign mercenaries showing up in a lot of their units to try to keep this thing going.
Mm-hmm.
They can't have defeat. We got midterms this year.
Yeah.
We can't have a defeat.
No.
So they're just
Well, Tony,
trying to buy time. But now Europe is facing collapse because of these freaking sanctions.
Eastern Europe.
Well, no, all of Europe. All of Europe. I mean, 40% of Germany's energy came from Russian gas. Like Europe is facing collapse right now.
Well, I did a few.
So, time is on Putin's side regardless.
I did a bit of research, Supreme, last couple of days, and Portugal is still doing side deals with Mozambique for their natural gas, which they have for the last 500 years, and they reclaimed two of their big petrol companies there that they have, the Portuguese have there in Angola. Again, for 500 years. The Portuguese are doing these side deals for energy now, which they have for years. And the Portuguese are very efficient because, one, they get warm climate pretty much all year round.
It's easier for them, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the Mediterranean countries will do better, no question.
And their solar and wind thing and their wave technology that they have has been keeping them off grid on days on end.
Yeah.
So they can go 3-4 days off grid.
They'll do better than Northern Europe, definitely.
Yeah.
But Northern Europe is the industrial engine of the European economy, the EU economy, and what happens to the euro when Germany has to shut down all of its major industries?
Yeah.
Or put them on halftime. It's a sufficient enough hit to their energy availability that you will have entire industries that are just going to go dark. Because people just need to, try to keep their homes above zero so they don't burst the pipes. They're in serious trouble. Mm-hmm. Europe is facing catastrophe this winter.
Well, we talked about this, again, in the spring. Let's go back. We have to go back to the Odyssey channel because we couldn't play this on thing. So we talked about this happening in the spring where Europe, Poland, Germany, what was it? The other countries there? I have it here. I'm going to find it. Where those countries basically are playing Russian roulette with Russia, and they're going to flip the script. Here we go. Poland playing Russian roulette with, there it is, Poland and Germany. Let me go here. There it is right there I had to do this one on Odyssey. Poland playing with Russian roulette. Let's open this up real quick here. This is on Odyssey, folks. So this is what we're talking about here. This was, I think, a live stream I did. And let me kind of fast forward it here to the articles. And the articles are very interesting because, oh God, where is it? Let's see if we could find it here. And some really intense stuff happening with how they're going to flip the script this coming winter, right? Mm-hmm. And I knew it was going to happen. I knew they were going to flip the script when the winter hit, and I already knew that they're going to play this game in the spring, and they were going to change it in the coming winter, and then blame Russia, even though they're sanctioning all the Russian stuff and all the Russian people are losing everything, and carbon taxes in Canada here. We're talking about this in the spring of this year. And I'm trying to see if I can find that article that we covered very specifically. Oh, there it is right here. Hold on. Let me see if it opens here. That's here. Poland and Russia. Poland to ban Russian oil imports as Germany urge to save energy. So they're already playing this game that they're going to sanction the crap out of Russia, but in turn, it's going to they're going to actually flip the script on this because in the end, where's that one where the Polish governments were actually telling off Putin and stuff? That's over here somewhere. And it was a really good article where it basically shows how disenfranchised Eastern Europeans are to their Russian neighbors. And I don't know. I don't think people in Europe are that dumb in some parts of Europe. I think a lot of people in Europe know what's going on here.
Oh, I'm sure they do. If they don't, well, they're going to find out pretty quick. I mean, the thing about modernity in general is we have robust enough systems in the developed world that, really, really major crises, like where you're starving and freezing or something like that, that hasn't happened since World War II.
Yeah.
You know, like they're just we've had 2-3 generations now that have grown up, and there's definitely been problems, but not catastrophic problems like that, right? Except now we're facing them because people don't, you know, like the whole you know, with Greta there, right?
Oh, remember
Like
2019? We're covering those no confidence in government, no confidence in governments. Guys, if you want to watch a good Mike in the Night, watch Mike in the Night. It's in your head, zombie. It's from the summer of 2019, where we were covering all of these worldwide protests and everything that was happening. And then we actually called it on the show, Supreme. And I don't want to keep bragging about this, but I said they're going to pull the trigger on a pandemic. Remember that? They're going to pull the trigger on a pandemic.
Yeah, well, they're gonna do something. Yeah, I mean, there was people in the chat that were talking about that. Then, yes, Event 201 and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, and something was going to happen sooner or later, regardless of whether it was planned or not. But yes, yeah, we didn't know what order these things were going to happen, but just reading the patterns and, you know, reading the tea leaves, even back then, you could see, okay, something's coming. I expected that the spiking interest rates and you know, what we're seeing now would have happened then, but they decided to do the other thing instead.
We got a new person in the chat. YSK1321 basically stated that if you think these politicians are on your side, you're stoned or something. So yeah, so YSK is new to the channel because after my 14 or 15 YouTube suspensions, do we count that last YouTube suspension I got as 15 because they did reinstate me after they realized that they made a mistake? Is it still considered a suspension?
Well, I mean, it was a false alarm in that case, but you know, they tried, or the machine just automatically was going to suspend you, and you managed to fend them off. We might give them a mulligan on that one.
We'll give them a mulligan, so it's only 14?
We'll give them a mulligan. We're 14 suspensions.
Yeah. And people say to me,
they're not gonna send you any awards for that, so don't give them the numbers.
you know, Supreme. People tell me they're like, you can't get suspended 14 times on YouTube and stay on YouTube. Yes, you do. They suspend you. You can't post for a week, and then they suspend you twice. You can't post for 3 or 6 months. And you can't do this, you can't do that. And and then I had somebody message me at the store the other day asking me, where the hell were you during the whole trucker rally? Where were you? And this and that. And all of a sudden you come out of nowhere, out of left field, and I find your channel. Where the hell were you? So I'm going to defend myself here real quick, Supreme. So here's our channel right here. This is where you're watching this live. And it's over here. Mike in the Night and all. So this was my Spanish channel. I have a Spanish and Portuguese channel. So I made this channel my main channel when I got suspended so many times. And if you want to see the trucker videos here, our footage, not footage stolen from other channels, it's right here. So we got Winnipeg protest here with Dorico and the thing, massive protest in downtown Winnipeg. We got the Ottawa ones over here. Look at all the police cracking down on protesters. This is our footage sent by our people on the ground for Mike in the Night. It's all here. So this is all our stuff here. This is our footage. This is not stolen. And you want to know something, Supreme? Some of the big alt media channels, alternative media, actually stole their footage.
Well, you were mentioning that, yeah.
And they blurred out the Mike in the Night. This is all our footage. This is Lenny Poo on the ground. We had Lenny Poo on the ground filming. And this is where I was. So a lot of people, like I had 2 people already ask me, where were you during the trucker protest? Where were you? I was on my backup channel and no one could find me because I was heavily banned. And you know what, Supreme? What funny thing is? They re-unlocked my channel after the trucker protest was over.
Oh, there was probably some algorithm. Yeah, they probably locked down a bunch of channels. They were trying to stop any kind of word from getting out. Definitely. I mean, where was the convoy actually covered? It was Rebel News. It was True North. It was, all the alternative media was covering it. The CBC and Global and, the people actually on the government payroll to some extent. No, they weren't going to cover it. They certainly weren't going to cover it accurately. And they still haven't to this day. Right?
Yeah.
They just call it a Trump thing or something, and they just leave it at that.
Because people were, somebody says, how come Because someone was telling me, it's like, how come you go MIA during the trucker rally? Who are you? Why aren't you supporting? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Then I got somebody from the channel message me saying, you never donated nothing to the truckers. You're full of ass and this, that. One of our former thing got when they were releasing the donations that were given by people.
Yes.
So one of the guys that used to call into the show sent me a thing. Where's your name's not here? You effing list. You're an effing. I'm like, no, I gave blankets. I gave gas cards. I gave everything to people on their way to Ottawa that left Vancouver that met me at my store. And I sent a lot of stuff over. Well, you can't prove that you're full of this and full of that and this and that. And I don't want to mention his name here because now he's going to dox me, right?
The first thing that you would require from someone like that is explain to them exactly why you owe them proof of anything.
Yeah.
The burden of proof is not on you, to a nobody. So who cares? Oh, you don't believe me? Oh, I don't care. You know the truth. That's all. That's all you need to do in a case like that. Depending on how many of your bills he happens to be paying, if the number is 0, then that's his opinions. That's what they're worth. Mm-hmm. It is what it is.
But unfortunately, yeah. Even my wife brought up a bunch of blankets, and we had them in these lots of blankets. They were in those, those suction airbags that sucks them up so you could put a lot of them. Mm-hmm. I just gave it to one guy in a pickup truck. He's like, you're going? Okay, look, let me call my wife came all the way to the, well, not far. She came to the store with the van. She gave all the blankets. She gave all their stuff. And we had a lot of canned food and stuff. And what was it? Chili and stuff that, I was prepping. I gave away, I don't know, like 60, 70 cans of that really good chili because it was going to expire in a few months anyway.
Oh, yeah. Get rid of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just gave it to, so that was that. And then I get people messaging me, sending me, your name's not on this donation list. I'm like, there's other ways to donate, and just ripping me apart, calling me a liar and this and that. And I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to get doxxed. I already got doxxed many times. So I just don't want to deal with that,
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, like it's just one of those things where well, you've had your share of haters, right?
Yeah.
Literally from all over the world. Mm-hmm. That we're just irrational, just to the point where I'm going to harass this guy because I literally have nothing to do. What a sad commentary on our life.
Yeah.
It's just brutal. Yeah.
Like that one prick from Australia. That basically donated money to the channel. Listen to this, folks. There's this prick in Australia that donated once in a while to Mike in the Night, donated to our channel. And then one day he messages me. I sent you the messages, right, Supreme? You saw them?
Oh, yeah.
And he messages me, debunking me, and wants all his donations back.
Yeah.
So I sent it back
for a while, yeah.
Yeah, I sent it back all the money that he donated to the channel. Mm-hmm. And remember what he said? Oh, you can keep the interest. Don't worry, I won't charge you interest on the money that I don't.
Yeah. All that stuff was unbelievable. Yeah, like he actually, get this, guys, he actually wrote a blog. And he used my handle. And he actually had a whole write-up in there about Raven and Lord H and Mike. And I have to say, I give him points for work ethic because it actually was fairly well done. But it was just 100% pulled out of an orifice. It was unbelievable. Like, yes, you have to be careful about what you say to some people because if they have a way of getting any information on you at all, they'll go with it because they have nothing better to do with their day. Just nothing better to do with their day.
Yeah.
So it was incredible. It was an epic, and that was before that was 2019 as well.
Yeah, that was the Orlingers, very problematic people, very problematic people. So. But
it happens.
It's really, really, and my dad was on his deathbed too when I was dealing with this shit. I sent the guy back his money and he wanted more money after, and he was harassing me over and over. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember it all. Yeah. You showed me the correspondence when I was at the store a couple times. Yeah. I don't know what happened there. It seemed to have died off for a while anyway. Mercifully.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This kind of material is apparently controversial to a lot of people, and it's befuddling. I don't get it, right? Mm-hmm. But the world has become especially in the Western world, has become very polarized. extremely polarized. It's gotten to a point where if one party is in power, the other side regards it as an existential crisis, not just, oh, well, we'll get them next time. Like, we're getting to the point where we have nothing in common with each other anymore. That's incredibly dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you just head on a swivel, guys. That's all. Any of you out there doing any preps for what appears to be inevitable now, you're probably long past the point where you need to warn anybody else, and just make sure that nobody knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because I think we went through that looking glass months ago. Just whatever you're doing, keep it to yourself. Make up your mind. Have a short list of people you're prepared to help. Other than that, be just prepared to, if the day comes, go inside, close the blinds, lock the door, and don't come out for 30 days. Unless, and hopefully it won't come to that. We'll muddle through. We'll all muddle through. We'll muddle through somehow. But
we are roughly
not prepared for anything like this. And again, with like we're seeing with the interest rates and everything else, you've got so many people now that are overextended in real estate and in personal debt, consumer debt. We all know somebody like that, right? And when they get wiped out, it's going to be rough. It's going to get really rough for a while.
We are 25 weeks out. Winter. Ladies and gentlemen, we are 25 weeks out of the prepper window we've been talking. I invented some weirdo prepper window for people living in the Northern Hemisphere. We've been counting since 31 weeks. We are 25 weeks out till spring, till warm spring. Not spring, but like second, third week of spring. So we're 25 weeks out, folks. So this is the window I'm giving it where if federal governments or governments here in the Northern Hemisphere decide to play their cards, they're going to do it over the winter. That's just my theory. I could be 99.9998% wrong on this, but the prepper window is 25 weeks, folks. So make sure you have enough food. You know what the good thing is? In another month or two, spring will be down to like 19 weeks, till spring, and the prepper window will start closing further. So people don't have to, really have to, because for a lot of people, I don't think they could afford, I'm not saying this in a bad way, could afford 25 weeks worth of food. But as we progress and kind of talk ourselves through these next 25 weeks, as it diminishes down to 8 weeks left, 6 weeks left, I think some people will feel more, like I could get 6 weeks of food. I could get 10 weeks of food. That's okay. But 25 weeks, I can't do that,
Yeah, well, I have a feeling at this point, I think I've maintained. It's just a gut feeling, but we're looking at a completely different world by spring. Whatever you're going to do it immediately, because you're already late.
Right.
Okay. As long as the stores are open, as long as your bank card works, as long as you got stuff, consider it a blessing. But whatever you need to get you through the cold months, get it now.
Right.
Because it's going to get ugly. It's probably going to start in Europe. Obviously,
big time.
China
It's going to start in Eastern Europe.
Problems. It's going to start in Europe. We have a war going on, right? Okay, so there you go. We have a hot war going on, and most of Northern Europe anyway is facing a catastrophe, which is going to affect financial markets, which means it's going to affect the world.
That's right.
Yeah. So whatever you're going to do, guys, like, whatever your budget permits, go do it immediately. It's an old saying on Wall Street. If you're going to panic, do it early.
Mm-hmm.
Just go get what you need. Do the best you can, and then you've done all you can do, and you won't be blaming yourself. But I just think, I think so. It's one of the dominoes somewhere in the world is going to fall, and it's going to knock all the rest over. It's kind of already happening. So I think it's going to be a really.
One thing that's not being covered much. We cover it here every week on Mike in the Night. We cover it every week. Is the Yemenis conflict? It's major in Saudi Arabia. Now they're targeting Saudi oil refineries. The Yemenis are targeting them. Yes. Saudi Arabia has lost that war, and they're losing big time to Yemen. And this is not being reported anywhere. And this is going to be another energy issue that we're going to be facing very soon. And I like it how, say, OPEC's going to cut back on this and cut back on this production and cut back on this.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Yeah. They're not cutting back on nothing. They're losing it. It's like, you can't fire me because I quit attitude. No. They're losing the oil, so they got to say, well, we're just going to cut back on more oil. You see what I'm saying here, Supreme? You see how it's falling into place? They're losing it through sabotage, warfare, whatever's happening with the Yemenis and the Saudis. And America's losing its grip in the Middle East. And instead of saying we're losing our oil, or we're losing our contacts, or we're losing our distribution or our logistics, they're saying we're just going to cut back on oil. Bullshit.
Yeah, well, in the case of Saudi Arabia, they're sitting on the fence. I think that they're looking at what's going on in Central Europe right now, and they're seeing which way the wind blows. But they're definitely they want to become part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and the Biden is telling them we need to get oil prices down, so crank out more. And OPEC Plus said no, we're knocking back 2 million barrels a day.
Well, they're knocking it back because they don't have it to give. Art Bell in the comments is saying, I just realized Mike reads the chat if it's a channel member, or he's into the guest chat, or he is into the guest chat. Art Bell, I'm always trying to pick out comments as we go along. Doesn't matter who's a member or not. Everybody has an equal, fair, blah, blah, blah platform on here. It doesn't, How could Mike be on YouTube? Thought he was banned. Yes, Jefe Salcero. I've been banned 14 times. We've been, talking about the legitimacy of 15, if that counted, but there was a mulligan, I guess.
We're here tonight anyway, so that's the main thing.
I got you guys on here tonight to let you know that Mike of the Night on Odyssey is on fire. So it's really on fire. It's like a Led Zeppelin concert from beginning to end.
Yeah, we're exercising freedom of speech tonight. We might get punished for it tomorrow, but if that happens, then yes, definitely head over to Odyssey where we can speak freely. That's where the action is. Definitely.
I'm just trying to see if we could find that thing we were talking about here. There's something here we were talking about. I want to bring up that so people could see. Oh, guys, if you live in Canada, get over to the community section on YouTube. Let's vote here. So we have our own poll going, because remember that article that came up that Trudeau is slightly favored over Pierre Poilievre? Well, this is what we're getting on our channel, 673 votes. And Poilievre is destroying Trudeau. Bernier is destroying Trudeau. And Singh is slightly favored over Trudeau at 6% and Trudeau at 4%. So the mainstream media is so full of crap that you can't even, what? Anyways.
Yeah, well, it's every media outlet in Canada, mainstream anyway, is getting a subsidy from Ottawa. So yes, Justin is their sugar daddy. So even if the situation is disastrous, they're still going to say he's slightly favored because they want to discourage any opponents from voting at this point.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do. That's what they all do. They do it in the States too. They do it everywhere.
Okay, I don't know where you voted on this one. So this is from 3 days ago. I want to know where you voted. I started to notice everything around me was a lie when 9/11, 51%. This is like 600 votes too, by the way. 9/11, 51%. Al Gore, global warming, 12%. Gulf War, 6%. The sickness, 18%. Joe Biden winning his presidency, 14%. Selected presidency, 14%. So where do you fall under that, Supreme? For me, it was 9/11.
Yeah, same here. And even then, it was 2 or 3 years before it really began to sink in. I was still pretty much asleep at that time, where that stuff was concerned. It was around 2004, 2005, where it really started to sink in that this is something's not right here.
And Virgin Atlantic, and this is Supreme's favorite topic, so I'm going to touch on it. Virgin Atlantic announces new policy encouraging male pilots to wear skirts. I actually looked into this, and it's actually legit.
Mm-hmm. It's legit, yeah.
I don't think what they're doing is legit, but I'm saying this is for real, is what they're saying.
Excuse me. I have no idea what the hell they're doing. Why they think this is a good idea. Governments can impose this stuff on people. Virgin Atlantic, they'll just fly somebody else. Like I said, I strongly suspect what's happening is because they're such a closed society, these people, that they think this is what the youth actually want. This is what the public wants, and they'll find out the hard way.
World Economic Forum, True North reporting, Liberal government confesses to $105 million World Economic Forum digital ID contract.
Yeah, well, it's probably just money laundering. It's a long way from where we are to getting digital ID. It's not something that people are going to readily accept.
How?
I mean, you need buy-in. You need, and it's not just a matter of. I mean, like they tried to get everybody, to take the cough medicine and the boosters and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they failed. They failed badly. Okay, this you need 100% buy-in, and you're going to try to people after destroying their lives for the last 2.5 years. Yeah,
Good luck
no
with
one's
that.
going to take that deal unless. Well, that's right. Good luck with that unless they've got something to offer with it. Because convenience ain't going to. Well, it's more convenient. No, it's not. It's literally the mark of the beast, dude. Like, no, we're not taking this. We're not going there. What's in it for me?
What's in it for me, Jelly Bean?
Give me 10 acres of good land. Now we're talking. What's in it for me, Jelly Bean? Yeah, that's the thing. These people, there are no more bread and circuses. So what are they going to do?
Okay, I got another one for you. You're going to love this one. New
Okay.
New York University fires award-winning organic chemistry teacher after students petitioned to get rid of him for making the course too hard.
What's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah, when students have any say at all over the curriculum, the universities are dead, Mike. When it comes to technology, medicine, that kind of a thing, up to a certain point, we still hold our own, but in just about every other area, no, we're finished. Western universities need a complete house cleaning. They need an enema real bad.
Okay, New South Wales, in Australia, cop poses as window washer to catch drivers on mobile phones. So how low are they going to stoop? How low are they going to stoop to fine us to death?
Well, we've just seen it, haven't we? Yeah, no, they're going to they need money, man.
They're going broke.
They're gonna scratch and claw. Well, they are broke. That's the problem. The Western world is functionally bankrupt. It's all extended pretend. It's all emperor's new clothes.
Authorities.
That's what it is now. Everyone's pretending it's not over, but it is over.
Well, speaking of over, I got something here. Authorities.
Okay.
CEO of election software company sent American poll workers' data to China.
Where you going, kid?
Yeah, that's the thing. They just up and do this stuff. No one's going to do anything to them.
We're not gonna hurt you.
What happened from 2020? I mean, maybe down the line, maybe someone will actually go to court or go to jail over it. But other than a couple of poll workers that were definitely caught stuffing ballot boxes, no, nothing's going to happen. That's what they intend anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely what they intend. Now, will it work out that way? I don't know, because I think there's a whole lot of things going to be happening between now and say 2024. The midterms here. I mean, it's not a presidential election, and I don't see a red wave. I don't see it happening.
Mm-hmm.
As disgusted as everybody might be with the Democrats, the Republicans have already shown they don't have any different ideas. The establishment doesn't anyway. So they're just phoning it in. They're expecting that this is going to be our year. They're not doing anything. So no, I think the Republicans will take the House, but I don't think it's going to be some landslide. I'll be happy to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But we need, you need new blood down there. And the reason I'm talking about their election is, the entire world basically is hostage to the American electoral cycle.
Right.
I think that's a good part of the reason why this war started in Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Russia didn't want this war. They've been trying to avoid it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But, Ukrainians started ramping up their bombardments in the Donbass and accumulating a bunch of troops there. So the Russians had to make a decision.
And the
reason they did that is because they wanted to collapse Russia, because, if they imploded the economy with all these draconian sanctions they brought on and got rid of Putin, well, then now you've got this chaos where Russia used to be, which would be the biggest, fattest Thanksgiving turkey you could think of for Western capital, in time for the midterms. And of course, it failed. It failed completely. So
we got Anarchy said something here interesting. My friend was fined going 43 in a 40 zone. I actually got fined going 43 in a 40 zone in Toronto years ago. And people didn't believe me. I'm like, here's the ticket. You know what I'm saying? And we got Bebop Lady saying, I miss listening to the Raven. We'll have the Raven on Mike in the Night on Odyssey. We can't, it's very hard to get him on YouTube to, and I don't want to censor anybody, right? You know what I mean? So, and yeah. I'm just reading the comments here. Okay, so here it is right here. Air Canada blasts Trudeau government, says restrictions were not justified by science. Velma in new Scooby-Doo clip delights fans who say her LGBTQRSTUV identity has been confirmed. I don't think nobody cares about this stuff.
No, they're going to lose their audience.
Yeah.
They're doing this to everything, and at a certain point in time, I think they're just doing it to be mean. I think it's just some kind of humiliation ritual.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else you would call it. I mean, it's going to implode that franchise. Marvel Comics has destroyed itself.
I have that up at the top there of the community section. I'll just keep going here. We lose, they gain more. So the UN representative declares we own the science at the World Economic Forum, admits working with Google to suppress other viewpoints.
Yeah, absolutely. It was it's Thanksgiving here. It was Columbus Day down in the States, and the Google header was blank. It was blank and white. They don't. Yeah, they definitely have an agenda. I mean, it's no secret to us. They've had an agenda for a decade.
So here we go, folks. Right. This is full screen for everyone to watch at home, and if you're just audio listener, I'm really sorry. So this is a banana. So we have a picture of an apple here. This is a banana. Mm-hmm. This is a banana. If you see an apple, you're a right-wing extremist, racist, misogynist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there it is. So,
yeah, that's what it is. They're 2 + 2 is 5.
Yeah.
They just make you say it. They make you lie. This was one of the really traumatic things that people when the Warsaw Pact, when the communist bloc collapsed. This was one of the things. It was, the arrests and the execution, the terrible things that happened during that time. The poverty, the mediocrity of life, the stifling of life was terrible. But the most terrible thing that most people remembered was that you had to say things out loud that you knew weren't true. But they made you say it anyway. Just psychological torture. Like you can't imagine. Just make you lie. Make you pretend that that's a banana. Yes, that's a banana. You know it's an apple. They know it's an apple, but they're making you say it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because they're sick. That's the problem with societies like that. Is the sickest people are always the ones that get in charge. And here in this world where we have these massive corporations and these massive governments, where these most dysfunctional personalities get to the top of the food chain, that's what happens there too. Is they make you say things like that, even though they know it's not true. They don't care. It's like, all right, well, this is government policy. This is company policy. You have to go along with it, or else. Right? Yes, you have freedom of speech if you're prepared to live under a bridge, or you're independently wealthy. And those two groups, well, that's 2% of the total. The rest of us, we have to be careful what we say sometimes.
Okay, we got something. Speaking of be careful what you say, we got JT here. Liberals, NDP, and Bloc vote in favor of increasing carbon tax in Canada. So I've already read some of my gas bills for you guys. If you guys want to check them out on our channel, go to the channel magnifying glass here. Let's go to my channel here, and you go here and type in gas bill, I guess. And people in the States, I got someone. I'm talking about my gas bills are like, you could see them here. They're $400 or $500 in the cold months, like $429 Gas bill up $118 from last month. That was 2 years ago. So let me full screen that because people won't. This is the actual gas bill I'm reading to you guys. So I'm not making this up to my door. So like that's how much we're paying here, and they're raising the carbon tax, and I can see it here right here. The carbon tax I'm paying on this one is $50.23 on this bill. And on some bills, like I'm seeing it here, right here, there's cost of gas. Let me see if I can see carbon tax on this one. But there it is right there. It's going to impoverish us. They're looking at ways to impoverish us. And now that the government here, the liberals, are going to increase carbon tax. So it's basically a tax to disenfranchise and impoverish the middle class.
Yes, it's GST 2.0. They're just selling it. It's not a tax. It's for it's to save the planet. That's all. And they just do it, and you have to pay it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if you don't want to pay it or you protest it, well then you're a climate denier and you're against science, and you're going on a list somewhere. At least the implication is you're going on a list somewhere.
Yeah, they're going to put you on a list. Hold on, soundboard.
Yeah,
What if I was just to
bureaucracies
kick
really
the
aren't that
ever-loving
efficient.
shit out of you?
But the threat is always there.
Soundboard.
What if I was just to kick the ever-loving shit out of you?
All right. And that's I'm very, very, very upset with, it's just this disenfranchising or putting us into this very bizarre domino effect thingy. Guys, I'm going to give you a link to our community page here on YouTube. If you want to check this out, go ahead. And go ahead and vote. It's like the third or fourth post down. I reposted the vote here if you guys want to vote on that poll there. And this is the other stuff we're having here. We got. we're not going to comment on these because I don't want to get in trouble on YouTube. But 5 IRS employees charged with stealing sickness relief funds to finance lavish lifestyle, including trips to Las Vegas and Gucci purchases. Biden's DHS gives cell phones to over 255,000 border crossers, illegal aliens released into the U.S. But if you're from Canada, they'll deport you. They'll deport you if you're a Canadian citizen in America. They'll deport you even if you're married to an American and you've been living there for 3 years. They'll deport you. I have a friend that was deported the other day from Texas after being married 2 years there.
Yes, well, the people that want to get the hell out of Canada aren't likely to vote Democrat.
Yes.
Right? The ones that are happy with Canada and still believe it's the greatest place in the world, much better than America and everything else, blah, blah, blah. Everyone gets along. It's wonderful. Yeah, no, those ones, they let them in all day, every day. But people that don't like the way things are going and want to get out, no, they won't vote Democrat, so they can't come to the States.
Mm-hmm. So that's a big
I
problem.
mean, I think that's the agenda. I can't prove that, but it would make sense.
Well, when I did all my paperwork and did everything, I did a video you guys could watch. I failed to be an American citizen. I had a big corporation sponsor me. I had to make sure I wasn't stealing an American's job. It took so many years to do the paperwork, thousands of dollars, did everything by the book, making sure I wasn't stealing an American's job. I had to run ads in newspapers and radio, and then I had to make sure that no one was going to take that position, or that I wasn't taking someone's potential position that lived there. The whole 9 yards. I had to give them financial records, police background records, the whole nine, everything. I'm talking even my report cards. I had to give them. Everything was fine. I went in for the final interview, and they're saying, we're not taking your kind right now. Please reapply in 5 years. And I'm like, what the hell? My employer was so pissed. He was playing golf that day. He was in a golf tournament in South Florida. He was so pissed when the lawyer called him to tell him what happened with me. He was fuming pissed. I'm not joking.
Oh, it's outlandish, yeah.
So,
yeah, and no explanations.
Yeah,
no, just whatever. You're on a list somewhere.
Well, even back then in 2004, 2005, like I mean, I was kind of really keeping to myself, doing my thing, and just trying to get out of Canada as much as possible. And then when people say, "Yeah, you try to get out,"
yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. And those policies probably change. There might be a time when you can't get down there.
Mm-hmm.
They shift. They do shift from time to time.
Someone's saying this story sounds a tad exaggerated. It does. When I tell people like personal things like, oh, they were deporting tons of Portuguese or plane loads of them and they shut down a mall, people look at that and listen. They're like, this guy's full of crap. It's like a lot. This is why we're here on Earth. We're here for a life experience, and it's over. Well, it's not over. It all begins when you die. That's what I believe in, right? And
Yeah.
this is just a life experience here. That's all it is. And these are some of my life experiences I'm sharing with you guys, right?
hmm
I'm not. I'm
It's
willing.
it's a fallen world. We do the best we can, but yeah, it is what it is. It's a messed up place. It's frustrating.
Big Rob New Zealand says you weren't refugee enough. I guess.
No. Well, the funny thing is, there must be people they're letting in because there's doctors, there's nurses, there's all kinds of professionals that go to the States and they don't have any problem.
Right, because they're actually they're being like, I don't know, headhunted.
Well, in that case, they probably are. Yeah,
They're being
you were an
headhunted,
entrepreneur, so yeah, a little bit different for you. You didn't. There was certain criteria, and you weren't on the list at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, Pamela. We're probably all on somebody's list, so let's just make sure that any list that they have, that there are millions and millions and millions of people on those lists. Because if it's just a few thousand, well, yeah, you're in trouble. If there's millions, no, they can't do much.
Steven Seawell's going to bed.
Yeah. Probably a good idea.
Steven Seawell's going to bed. Yeah, I'm going to go join my family
Have
in a few minutes
have a
here.
great night, Steven. Yeah, have a great night, Steven. Yeah, man. Like I said, I can't prove it. My tea leaves are not giving me any better answers than anybody else. But the amount of stuff popping off right now, I just think this winter is, this is it. It's going to be a different world by spring. I don't think there'll be nuclear war. I don't think we're looking at anything like that. But yeah, we're looking at like Europe will not be the same after this winter. I don't think it'll be the same anywhere. We'll see what happens with these midterms as well. I have a feeling.
Oh, we've been barking these midterms for months, dude.
Oh yeah, I know this. It's like I say, the world is held hostage to the American political cycle. It is what it is. But if the Republicans win, then Democrats are probably going to demand all kind of recounts, and they're not going to release results for days, and the whole thing will be in limbo. And Biden is basically set up to take the fall anyway, regardless. So.
Dead House in the comments is saying, your guest is really level-headed, dude. I like this guy. Well, Supreme Cannon's more of a co-host than a guest. He's more of...
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So if you want to hear more episodes of him, I'm sorry I'm plugging this. Go to the Odyssey channel here. This is what YouTube used to be back in the day. So if you want to go to what YouTube used to be 15, 12 years ago, this is it right here. And you could catch episodes of Mike in the Night. There's 460 really good episodes of Mike in the Night. And we're going full throttle. If you want to get into more angrier episodes of Mike in the Night, I suggest you start at episode 400, where Porno Pete made his first appearance. And that was all swearing and people going off the handle. Remember that, Supreme?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody let loose for a while. I popped off a few to myself. It was just, this is the thing about freedom of speech. For a while, yeah, you just let it all hang out because you can. But I mean, things kind of fell back into a rhythm. We toned it down, and we don't want to drive people away because of that.
Right.
Freedom of speech it's like any other kind of freedom. Unless you exercise discipline, there is no such thing as freedom. Mm-hmm. The freedom is you govern yourself, and the government isn't governing you. Right? You're still going to be governed. You want to do it yourself.
Guys, I'm going to give you the link to MikeInTheNight.com. Here's the link right here. Go to this link right here. And there it is right there. This goes to it right now. And then you go there. It goes to our shows here. And if you don't want to destroy your bandwidth with watching the actual video, you could just download MP3 versions of the show for free here. There's some of them is 99 cents if you don't mind supporting. But there's, look, episodes going way back. We're talking about episodes going back to like the 300s here on kiwiradio.nz, MikeInTheNight.com. And our video that we promoted to watch The Boys from Brazil 1978 is here. Boiler Room that we promoted the week before on Mike in the Night is right here. And we have a 24 hours, 7 days a week TV stream on the channel if you want to watch. And lots of cool stuff happening here. You're going to want to get over to Odyssey to get that fresh look or perspective, or I don't know how to say it. Like it's like you don't eat sugar for 6 months and one day you decide to have a chocolate bar. That's the rush you get when you go on Odyssey and watch an older Mike in the Night. You're like, holy crap, what the hell's going on here? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're not just talking in circles here. Yeah, we've covered a lot of subjects over the years that I've been involved in this. Yeah.
My favorite one
definitely.
with you still is that one we did in the summer of the fall of 2018, where we were talking about the video surveillance and how they were creating the digital ID and those cameras were following those people around in China, and there was a little score above their head.
Right, and they were putting the cameras into Darwin, Australia.
You remember that episode?
The social credit, the social credit episode, yeah.
Yeah, that was so good. That was such really good back in 2018. I still remember that like it was yesterday, like we're talking about that.
Yeah, that was, we had some deep dives. I forget who the callers were. Of course, it was 3 years ago at least, but yeah, that one was a head scratcher. Because this is the thing. There's a bright side to all this. There's white pills too, not just black pills. Those are the ones we need to look for. Not so that we, stop worrying and stop thinking about something and go about our business. You want to do that anyway, ultimately. But the reason that their plans have changed a lot. They might have plans, guys, but they have to adjust their plans just like everybody else. They don't always get their way.
Here's the episode. I found it, Supreme. No. Here's the episode with me and Supreme Canada. I'm going to paste it here if you guys want to watch it after this one. And, sorry, this is a 2019 episode. Darwin takeover with social credit score, 5G, digital ID, digital currency, thought control. And this was back, and we were getting clips of people getting filmed while they're walking around. And there it is right there. And it was streamed live on Monday, May the 11th, 2019. I was sorry about the date. I was confused.
That's all right. Yeah.
So
it was at least 3 years ago. Yeah. Porno Pete. It's Pete Stav is his name on Odyssey, and I'm sure I saw him in the chat like 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Last time I was on, or last time I watched anyway. Yeah. No, I did see him pop in there.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's around. He's okay.
Yeah, I think he's okay.
He's okay. I know that we. I knew there was a lot of piling on the people that took the cough medicine, but to me, it's nothing but love.
Yeah, the channel was at war, man.
Yeah, it was at war, and I understand. Like, this is something that has really created a lot of heated emotions. But we know people. We know regular contributors to this channel that took it because they got backed into a corner. And they had no choice. I mean, people have got to live. They got families. When you have your family, there's people that were getting bribed, thousands of dollars to take this shot, right? It's just, I don't know why it was so important that families broke up over things like this. Mm-hmm. But families break up over politics. They break up over the stupid.
Even our channel got broken up. A lot of people left the channel. Someone saying Layla was your best guest, but she's gone. She's disappeared. Oh, wow. I tried messaging her a few times, and I know there was an internal problem in the channel, not with me, but someone in the channel was trying to divide the group and break it apart. And
definitely.
And they're crying, why can't I come on your show now? It's like, what? So and they admitted to me that they're dividing my show.
We've got to be able to disagree and still be able to brainstorm. I still think of this as a think tank. That's what we're doing. We're trying to compare ideas. It doesn't need to be an echo chamber. We can have different opinions, but the rhetoric sometimes. The rhetoric is just unbelievable sometimes. It's like, no, I don't think anybody is in complete control of this process. There's people that definitely have more control and influence than others. Mm-hmm. But no, every level of society, including the elite, have competition. They don't love each other. It's not about love. So, it's everything is in play. But I mean, it's good to see the big picture. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to what are you going to do personally in your life, in your household? How are you going to handle things? Yeah, and anyway, where the cough medicine was concerned, just to circle back to that for a second, There were people that took the double trouble, right? But when it come time to take the boosters, they went, "No, I'm not doing this anymore."
Mm.
Who should be plenty? No, I'm not turning this into a monthly subscription service. Forget it.
Yeah.
So it's already ground to a halt. That's why in the end, that's why they gave it up even in Canada with the ArriveCan and all that. They roll all that stuff out, trial balloons to see if the people are ready to accept more control. And the answer was hell no. And we're right back to the protests. So the last 2.5 years, as far as they're concerned, was futility.
Hold on a sec.
Whatever they were trying to do, it didn't work because now people are in the streets again.
Hold on, Supreme. Soundboard.
We're not gonna hurt you. We know that you're in there and that you're all alone.
There we go. I just wanted to throw a Joe Pesci. I know that you're in there and that you're home alone. We're not gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
It kind of fits into what you were just saying there, where people.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they did. They tried to use shame. They tried to use all kinds of manipulation and divide people to, isolate what they would call the marginalized minority who was not participating in this experiment. And it didn't work. In the end, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And there was only so far they could go. There was a third rail that they couldn't touch. Remember with the trucker convoy where they started freezing bank accounts? What happened? Well, there was a run on the banks.
I predicted that 2 days before they freeze the bank accounts.
Yeah.
Did you see the video I did 2 days before it happened? I said Canadians losing confidence in governments. Governments will freeze bank accounts, run off on monetary system. 2 days before, 2 days after it happened, Jordan Peterson took my entire dialogue and made a whole video of it. Got like 16 million views. And then a guy made a video about what Jordan Peterson said and got 2 million views.
Well, the word got out. In the end, I guess we'll have to settle for that, eh?
Yeah. But
and
it would be nice once in a while. A small business owner in a small town in the private sector is saying this. That would have been nice, like as a fellow Canadian, like on the ground, what he's seeing. And that would have been nice. That would have been like something nice for me. But I've never, and a lot of our stuff, like if you watch a Mike in the Night on Saturday, you go to one of the big alt media channels, it's basically a replay of everything we pretty much talked about the next day. And it's really sad that and you know what it is?
Well,
maybe it's a blessing in disguise, Supreme.
Well, in the end, I think that's the way to look at it, Mike. Obviously there's people that are they're monetizing all kinds of things that really don't belong to them. There's just not a lot of integrity out there anymore. That's part of the reason we're having all the problems we're having is integrity. Justice has fallen in the streets. It ultimately resides in the heart of the people. When the people don't have it anymore, we're done. It's over. We're moving on to the next thing, whether we like it or not. It is what it is. And yeah, I think we're there. This is World War woke.
World War woke. There we go. We're coining this on the show tonight. Give it 2 days, we'll be somewhere else. Hey, remember that saying that I said when I was really pissed off on Mike in the Night and I said I'm going to plant a sentence in there? It got redistributed. I don't know if you remember this, but I said in an episode, and I said, Supreme, here's the phrase I'm going to put, and it's going to get redistributed. So there was an article that was up, and I said, these people better make sure that if they believe in the same God that I do believe in, debts are going to have to be paid, and they're going to have to be paid soon. Someone actually took that a week and a half after and actually re-rolled that, exactly what we said.
Is that right?
Word for word.
Well, someone's watching you then. Someone with an enormous audience is watching you. That's not necessarily bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not fair that you're demonetized. It's not fair that you're being throttled and all the rest of it. It's absolutely ridiculous. But they probably expected you to give up a long time ago, too. And you're, frankly, a machine, my friend. So good luck with that, boys and girls.
All right, Supreme, I'm going to let you go. It's been an hour and 35 minutes talking to you. And I appreciate
it. has, the time has flown.
I appreciate you being here with us tonight. It means a lot to us, co-hosting the show with me.
Oh, it's an honor and a pleasure, my friend, anytime at all. It's great to interact with everybody. And let's just soldier on, guys. Chin up. We're not, you know what? I think we're winning.
We are.
I think we are. I think we are, because the thing about progressivism is it doesn't have a reverse gear, and we stalled this thing out. I mean, they're having to resort to more and more ridiculous stratagems to try to move their program forward, and they just keep getting swatted back. The only places where it's really advancing are in the areas that are basically bankrupt shitholes that are about to collapse anyway.
World War Woke, coined
Right.
tonight on the show. World War Woke by Supreme Canon.
World
Give it
War
a few
Woke.
days.
Well, if you've
Guys,
seen some of
send us a link if you find it
Yeah.
somewhere else a few days down the
Yeah.
road, please.
Yeah.
I would like to see it.
Yeah, I'd be curious too. Come to think of it, yeah. I mean, that's what it is. If you've seen some of Putin's speeches, I mean, he hasn't called it that. You know, he's Russian anyway. But I mean,
No, the fact is you called
basically
it that, and that's what matters.
Well, we'll roll with it. Yeah. That's just what came to mind. World War Woke. Yeah, that's what this is, and we're all on the front line, whether we like it or not. So, just stay strong, be brave, folks.
All right.
Be brave.
God bless you, Supreme.
Be ready for anything this winter. I think this winter is it. God bless Mike, and God bless everyone, and we'll talk again soon.
See ya.
See you later.
That is our man, Supreme Canon. Sorry, I cut him off a bit early there. No intention on that. Okay, so guys, we are 25 weeks out. The prepper window is getting smaller, so we're 25 weeks out till spring, and that's what we're counting down here on the show. We've been counting it since 31 weeks, so we're 25 weeks out from spring here on the show, so we're going to keep you up to date on as we progress through the Northern Hemisphere winter here on Mike in the Night. We'll be live again on Saturday night on Odyssey, so don't forget to check us out on Odyssey if you actually want uncensored stuff. There it is on Odyssey. Get over there, and if you want to feel like the old YouTube was back in the day, like old YouTube, when you know, back in the day when it was just an open forum, that's what it is here on Odyssey if you guys want to get over there. And I'll give you the link to last Saturday, this Saturday past Mike in the Night. So if you guys want to check that out, go ahead. There it is right there on Odyssey. And I'm just reading the comments here. And there it is, artbydano.com, artbydano.net, and mikeinthenight.com. You could get replays of free MP3s, so you don't have to destroy your bandwidth watching the video in its full entirety. And yeah, that's what I wanted to kind of sum up there. World War Woke. There it is. Supreme Canon coined it tonight on Mike in the Night, co-hosting with me. And there it is. Lord Humongous says, I need to come back soon. Yeah, come back this Saturday. If you're free this Saturday, you know what time Mike in the Night's on. You're watching it every Saturday. Come on the show, Lord Humongous. I hope we get Layla back sometime just to see if she's doing okay and where she's at. And if anyone has contact with her, I'd like to. Pamela Page, thank you so much. Susie, thank you so much. I can't read that in the comments. Something MM. Great show, Mike. Thank you so much. Big Rob New Zealand in the house. Rob Padley. Who else have we got here? Bebop Lady. We got all kinds of people in the house. Peter O'Brien in the house. Thank you so much for being part of the channel, liking and subscribing. And I can't really play some exit music here because it is YouTube. They're going to flag me. And 1,000 silver in the house. I heard Jordan Peterson is doing a show next week called World War Woke. Wow. Have a great night, Mike. Yeah, you guys have a good night tonight. And it's Mike in the Night. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody here in Canada and across the Commonwealth. And, we'll see you on the flip side. Take care. And if you can't take care, stay safe. Mike Martin's here exiting episode 400.